I'm in Canberra, Australia, and I've just been running a workshop with Rob Richards from Evidentiary in regard to evidence-based practice in the public sector. This whole issue of evidence-based practice these days is a real hot topic in the public sector because with limited resources and the demand that people be outcomes focused, obviously everybody's thinking about how they can really use evidence to up their game in regard to delivering public services. Interestingly, the kind of problems being faced by the Australian public service are very similar to ones in other countries around the world. Problems of measuring outcomes, obviously identifying outcomes, communicating those to stakeholders. All of those things are exactly what other governments are having to face. What we were doing was, Rob from Evidentiary was going through some of the techniques of actually identifying the evidence question, doing literature reviews, and really thinking from a really tight and robust evidence-based approach. From my point of view, I was coming in with this idea of visual modeling, and so that you're using visual outcomes models to actually be able to identify the evaluation questions you want, and then to, in effect, be able to link out and use it as a way of structuring and thinking about your evidence base around the outcomes you're trying to achieve. The exciting thing about using visual models to structure and think about your evidence is that these same models can be used by practitioners to implement programs. They're called logic models, program theories, etc. We call them outcomes models. So the kind of exciting thing is there's always a gap between collecting the evidence and the evidence databases that you might use or have access to, but actually trying to get people to use those in practice. And we see the connecting piece is building a visual model which practitioners use in their planning as part of visual strategic planning, which then kind of locks in your evidence into the actual tools that practitioners use to plan. The other thing we were talking about was ways of thinking about impact evaluation and the whole question of attribution, whether you can attribute changes in an outcome to a particular program or not.